You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
I was just asking the man who is invisible, could
Why?
he get my phone? Because if the guest rings and doesn't know where
We got
he's
a
going,
guest?
we have.
Today.
And I would say,
We have a guest every week, Johnny.
Well, hang on a minute, Don.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that we're going to do part 1 and 2 is going to be us speaking for the first part, and then we'll move on to the second part. Who's the guest?
The guest is the funniest man in football, notwithstanding your...
Who is the guest?
I'm not telling you.
We've got a guest. Are you ever going to tell me we got a guest so I could prepare?
We have a guest at 7-day intervals, John.
And who was the guest today?
We have one once
Did
a
you
week.
know there's a guest on today?
Yeah. You told me.
I didn't tell you.
Oh, did you tell me?
Well, it's your show. Anyway,
Well, if it's
Don and I
my show,
decided-
who's the guest?
Don and I
didn't-
decided that we
So
might run
Rod
it.
Law didn't text you?
No, he did not.
Anyway,
Oh, there's a breakdown in communication.
Well, hang on. You and I
worry.
and Mick are
I've done
part
the
of
research.
Why is it up to him to tell me who's the guest is?
Him.
Who decided the guest?
I am him.
Who decided the
I
guest?
don't know. I just go
Mick.
along.
I did.
I see. So you didn't think to tell me?
Well, you decided last week's guest unilaterally.
But I tell you who.
Who was last week's guest? Rod Butters.
No, Kirsty.
I spoke to you several times about her coming on. Or him.
No, you
Her.
told me she was
Her.
coming on.
I said, but I informed you. So,
Anyway.
So we've got a guest. Who is it?
I'm not telling you. Oh, I want to congratulate you first.
It's
I want to
extraordinary.
congratulate you.
Well,
You.
I hope you can carry the guest interview because I have no idea who's on.
Well, you don't any other week. You. I would think, in my view, in my time on the planet, are the most perverse individual that I've ever seen, know, or read about.
I appreciate the compliment.
You continue. You head the cheer squad for the most ignorant leader in the Western world, in the President of America.
Well,
Wait a sec.
Yeah, all right.
You denigrate and ridicule the best female singer in the world in Bette Midler, and now you have endorsed Lance Armstrong's drug taking in the Tour de France.
Okay, so let's just cover
let's
that.
bring
Just
people up
a
to
minute.
date. Last night, you tweeted that Lance Armstrong is a star and virtually endorsed what he had done and cheated his way to 7
Right.
titles.
Let's just cover the 3 things that you've mentioned quickly. You say that I have a perverse attitude to, say, Donald Trump. If you're not aware of this, Mick, you're about to see unfold in front of you before the November election in the American Republic, the United States of America. The most corrupt and dishonest leader ever is Obama, a black leader.
Why do you say
Obama.
that? Why do you say that?
Well, because what they have done to try with him and Biden, who is a white nominee who has got dementia and is senile, they are the most corrupt 2 people in world politics. And if you just have, I'll tell you why,
Okay,
Donald.
come on,
I'll tell you why. Because they rounded up a bloke called Michael Flynn by the most disgracefully dishonest tactics from the FBI, which was under Obama. You just got to follow this. I'll mention the names of these people who are in the Obama regime who have either been indicted for lying or have been sacked for perjury. And I'm not looking at these names, so I'll look you in the eye and tell you who they are. They're Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Holder, Lynch, Lerner, Page, Rice, Struck, Orr, McCabe and Yates. Those 9 people I've mentioned are the most disgracefully dishonest people in politics ever.
Well,
and you want to keep following it to see what they did to try and get a duly elected president out of office because they don't like him or his politics.
And can I
That's
just...
the first thing.
No.
Okay, can we talk about the president?
Yes.
And what about his predecessors? If we go back, and history can only judge you, Vietnam War. Now, America...
Wow.
Now, hang on. What was his name?
Nixon.
Eisenhower? No, go back to the 50s. Eisenhower,
Go back
Kennedy,
to the 50s.
Kennedy, Johnson,
Well, the Kennedy wasn't
and
in
Nixon
the 50s.
all promoted the war.
Not the
The-
Vietnam
they-
War wasn't promoted by Kennedy.
I'm sorry, it was. It
What-
started
what-
with Eisenhower and it continued,
The
John.
Vietnam War was in the 60s.
That's right, but they were
60s or
also
70s.
Kennedy was the 60s.
Kennedy was assassinated
I got
in
called up.
1963.
So I just think that they're all...
1963, Kennedy
Yeah,
was assassinated.
that's
The
right.
Vietnam War wasn't going then, was it?
It was going... Didn't the French... the French had a war going on. and
Anyhow, Donald.
but they're all just as bad as one another.
Yeah, it started. All right, so I'll take this on advisement. It
No,
started
you're reading the screen.
well, I've said I'm taking it on advisement.
Advisement from whom?
The machine. I'm taking it on advisement. I'm looking at it. If I said, "Oh, I know when it started," you would think I'm doing an Ernie Sigley, saying, "Oh, yes, I know."
Anyway, let's fast forward.
It started. It says here began in November 1955.
Really?
So it says, and it ended in 75, 1975.
20
So that was
war in
Eisenhower,
Vietnam.
so I was right.
Well, you were, Donald.
Thank you.
No, I said I'll take that on advisement.
Did you get called up?
No, I
So-
wouldn't have gone anyway.
Really? You would have been a conscientious objector?
No. We had a doctor at Hawthorn who could get us off.
Oh, so
I see. On what grounds?
It doesn't matter. We got out.
Well, he had to put up. You had to say
I
that
didn't.
there's a reason.
I went
got
into the
out,
ballot.
We got out. Let's just say we got. He was on the
So I
medical
hope
board
you're
of
not-
examiners.
Wait, one at a time.
He was on the medical board of examiners, and we didn't go.
Was this Doc Ferguson?
Yes.
And he got you blokes
No,
out.
no. I didn't get called up.
Wow. That's a pretty good story.
So, well, I didn't get called up either. I was in the ballot and didn't get my marble. So I hope when we speak about Lance Armstrong and you talk about him cheating, I hope you're not going to say that you would have cheated to get out of doing community service and being called up.
Community service.
What's it called?
It's going to war.
John,
What's it called?
listen. How many?
Conscription.
No,
John, how many
something
footballers-
Service. What's it called? Anyhow. Thank you.
Conscription.
Yeah, national
There
service.
was only one footballer, I think, that went, and that was
No, there was plenty.
Who? Yeah, there were more. Who you
No,
think? Kevin
when-
Sheedy?
No.
He got called up.
Yeah, but they got called up and stayed in
Wayne
Australia.
Closter went.
Chap from Essendon who got
Yeah.
shot up, and he played
Was
one or
it Keith
two.
Gent?
Yes, well done.
Wayne Closter went. Couple of.
How's
What,
that?
to Vietnam?
Acknowledge that,
Yes.
will you?
He went to Wayne Closter
Oh.
went to Vietnam.
Let's get on to the Bendigo League again and go through all the names
No,
up there.
no, we're getting diverted here. Interesting as it is, I can't believe you're saying that the Hawthorn Club doctor
That's right.
contrived a means.
No.
He had
That's
an
what you said.
insurance policy, Mick, is what he had, that if you got called up, he'd get you out. So
So
you were
he
rorting the
fabricated-
system and
yeah.
cheating.
Wow.
You're about to say about Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
I tell you, I haven't seen the Michael Jordan documentary. If you want to see a fantastic doco, watch the Lance Armstrong
I'm
story.
being serious here.
Yeah, I am too.
How can you consciously, deliberately
Yep.
endorse a bloke who's a self-confessed cheat
And a liar.
and a liar?
Yep.
Now, this is just
No,
clearly being
it's not.
perverse and
It's not.
obtuse.
Well, come on, give me your case.
Okay, Lance Armstrong was part of one of the biggest sporting caravans, if you like, the Tour de France and World Cycling, and was told after that the soft drugs were well known and people embraced them, the stimulants, soft stimulants, and then someone said, a doctor called Dr. Ferrari, said if you
He
want
drove
to...
in and told him, did he?
No. You keep going. I know you keep
He
going.
said, if you want to keep losing, not Ferrari, not him, if you want to keep losing, he said, every single person that wins is on this new drug or this new way of proving your performance called EPO, where it stimulates oxygen in your red blood cells. So he said, if you want to just be beaten all your life, don't take it. But if you want to compete with all the other people who are winning, then you take EPO. So he took EPO and he won after nearly dying from testicular cancer. Didn't take it until until he was recovering from testicular cancer, won 7 Tours de France in a row, or it mightn't have been in a row, but won 7 of them on EPO because every other successful team in the world was doing it. And he thought, what's the point of doing this as a profession and training your guts out and riding your guts out and finishing at the back of the pack when everyone else is doing it?
You mean literally everyone else? It wasn't. And wait a sec.
No.
You're saying that every rider
No.
that competed in this event
No.
was on EPO.
I'm not saying that.
That's what you said. Every
I
other.
said every person that won.
No,
and
you
was-
didn't. You said every other.
Every other person that won and was successful at winning was on this. The ones that weren't on it never won and were never competitive.
So Don,
That's all I'm
what
saying.
are you saying is if you want to compete and win,
Yes.
At elite level, Michael, there's a documentary film, and I really do recommend this. It's called Icarus.
Now,
Icarus.
Mick,
what is
And
it?
just
no,
let
I
me
want-
finish.
I want you to finish what you said.
No, Icarus. Now go have a. You can get it on Netflix,
Thank you.
and it's about drug taking.
In what sport?
Well, it was started off in cycling. He wanted to, and he just happened to be Johnny on the spot, and he wanted to improve his performance. He was 24th, and he started on, and he did a documentary. But it then got out of, he just happened to be Johnny on the spot, and what it did uncover, he got involved with a doctor in Russia who headed up.
That's it?
What?
No, that's that. Lance Armstrong's doco mentioned the Russians, but go on.
Okay, but anyway, and he headed up, the Russian doctor that was advising him, headed up the Russian athletics thing. And then all the Russians, this is just before Rio, he was doing his documentary, and if you remember...
This is on athletics.
No, this was all sports. There
All
was
right.
winter sports. He was a cyclist,
Okay.
and went and traced the line from right up to Putin, went right as far as Putin. The Russians weren't going to run in the Olympics at Rio, and somehow they got a reprieve, and they did run. But
So
from that documentary, I'd say that everybody in elite sport is just about on something.
Are we then saying, am I interpreting you two correctly to sort of say the problem is rife, therefore everyone should just take illegal substances
Well, I'm very
to keep up?
I'm very
It's a
skeptical.
very good,
Even
very
when
good-
we played.
It's a very good question, Mick.
Thank you, John.
Let me just clarify why I'm saying this. That every person that was successful and won was on a form of stimulant that then was then morphed into EPO. And if you weren't on EPO, you were never going to be successful. Hang on. So everyone in the world who was successful was on this. So he thought, what in God's name am I riding down the back of the pack for? I will join them. I will join every other country that's taking it whose cyclists are successful, and I'll be competitive.
So
And
why didn't he just say we have a major problem in our sport that we love and we're going to root it out?
So that is
You can't,
how idyllic is that comment, Mick, when it is your life. And so if it's a bit like the AFL, if some clubs have been accused of taking stimulants and cheating and all that sort of stuff, and they're isolated, but I am saying if every AFL club took performance-enhancing drugs, then go for it. So
You're not really, are you?
No, I'm saying if every league club was taking performance-enhancing drugs and your club was the only one that was finishing last every year, you'd say, well, what the hell's going on? Let's join them and let's have a crack at seeing if we be
Where do you
successful.
draw the line of performing enhancing? Painkillers, are they performing enhancing?
So another good question, Don. He said before EPO came in, people were taking cocaine, painkillers, cortisone. They were soft stimulus.
Okay.
Soft stimulant drugs until this bloke Ferrari came in and said EPO is the only way to go, and everyone who took it started winning.
Well, you should just shut down the Olympics, shut down all the major events in the world. If that is the philosophy,
Yep.
that if you can't keep up, you cheat to keep up.
So
just shut them all down.
So Mick, these are all very sensible questions. So if you say that you're ethically clean and pure, and we look at Australia and how clean and pure are we not, because people single us out for cheating in various ways.
Do they?
Oh, my word.
Well, of course they do.
On the international stage.
My word, they
And
do.
on the national stage as well. Even back when we played football, there were drugs.
But Mick, ideally, the Olympic Games, ideally it's fantastic that no one is... That's correct. Ideally that it's fantastic, Mick, that no one takes performance-enhancing drugs in the Olympics or any sport, but it's not a fact of life. And in fact, the Olympic Games is bedeviled by trying to find out the Eastern Bloc countries, not the Eastern Bloc, the world, who are taking performance-enhancing drugs.
But, you know,
it's
in my view...
industry.
Mac Horton deserves far more credit than Lance Armstrong. Horton is clean. Clearly he's clean.
Yep.
And he stood up and he made a statement to the world that I refuse to acknowledge the bloke who's beaten me because he's a drug cheat. Isn't that the way it should be addressed?
It should be, Mick. No, look, Mick, I'm in vehement agreement with you.
No, you're not. You call Lance Armstrong a star.
He is a star because he joined the rest of the world who were successful in that sport and beat them on his merits.
What about if Phil Anderson's listening to this? Do you think he'd be happy with the tone
Mick,
of this
all
conversation?
I'm saying to you is that Lance Armstrong, recovering from testicular cancer, which nearly took his life, decided, what in the hell am I in this for if I'm not going to compete on a world level with every other person who's successful doing it?
Let me put it.
It's a fantastic doco.
This bloke has cancer, and then he chooses to put these artificial substances in his body. How stupid is that?
That's why I asked you before, where do you draw the line? Because I am guilty myself, having played a sport and have taken painkillers.
That's different.
No, but
Well,
it is like being a little bit pregnant,
it
Mick.
allows you to play and perform.
Better than you can.
It allows you to play.
Does.
It allows you to play and perform at your optimum level. Which is,
Okay.
it doesn't increase your capacity
So
by artificially.
Well, it does
No,
because you're
no,
killing
Mick.
off.
No, it allows you.
Another good point, Mick. Another good point
Jeez, I'm
you
going.
make. No, but look, if you can't have a general conversation
Yep.
and give credit to someone making
Yep.
proper statements, that's a very good point. So it's like being a little bit pregnant. When do you draw the line? As Don says, no, hang on. When do you draw the line at taking painkillers or cocaine or stimulants and go to the next level because you want to have that edge?
Yes. Now you both played with injuries. Both of you are.
Yes.
Okay. You with your ankles, and you had crook ankles,
Ankles,
didn't you?
yeah.
So you both played. Now, if in fact your club doctors injected you with something,
Which they did.
okay, to
On a regular basis.
minimise the pain,
Yes.
they're not making you capable of doing anything that you weren't capable of with good ankles.
Yes, you were.
No,
Yes,
no,
they
no,
are.
no, not. No, you are naturally
No, you're not.
capable.
No, mate.
I'm agreeing with you.
Thank you.
It makes you play at the level that you're
Your
capable
optimum
of,
level.
rather than something that you're not capable of and giving you an unfair advantage.
Yes.
Now that is true, mate. But if you have an injury and you deaden the pain, I had injections through my bandages at half and quarter time. They put cortisone into my ankles, and same with Don, painkillers. That allowed you to play the game, and we're suffering from it now. But I
Okay.
haven't gone to the league saying
I understand.
claiming
And some
depression
of those
or
drugs
anything
are
else.
no longer
Right.
available
Now,
too.
what do you two think if just say we had Raylene Boyle on here?
Yes.
Raylene Boyle was robbed of Olympic.
Mick.
What is? I haven't said anything yet.
Of course, I agree with you.
She was robbed of Olympic glory by a cheat.
She was.
So what is the solution? Is it for Raylene? Wait a sec. For Raylene to go and take some EPO or whatever the substance at the time is and compete with her on unfair grounds, or to blow the whistle and say,
Yes.
we need to rid this
Mick.
sport of this problem.
Now, look, that is absolutely correct about Raylene Boyle. What I'm saying to you is that Lance Armstrong was told by various team bosses and medicos, he said, if you want to compete and not lose every race you are in, if you want to compete on an equal footing, you must do this, he said, because every successful cyclist and winner is on this stuff. So you decide if you want to be moral and sit down the back of the pack, or you want to join them and beat them on their merits.
Well,
and he did that.
You're a moralist, Don. Well, I'm surprised you haven't jumped on him over this.
No, because
Because everyone
what
was
I
doing it.
found out, and even I've mentioned the film before, Icarus.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It really did wake me
I'm
up that
asking you
everybody's on it.
I'm asking you for your gut response.
Well, I couldn't do it, but I
Nick,
played on painkillers.
So if Raylene Boyle, if the woman that beat Raylene Boyle, if she had been drug tested and been thrown out of the Olympics, Raylene Boyle would have won.
Correct.
But what I'm saying to you is that every person that Raylene Boyle would have run against, this is the cycling analogy, was on it. So you get rid of her.
That's a sweeping statement, though, isn't it? That every other person besides Boyle.
No, I said if every other person besides the person that beat Raylene Boyle was on it, she would just be like throwing cream puffs at the town hall. She'd just come up another person who was a drug cheat. And this was the analogy with the cycling.
Michael,
everyone who was successful was on it.
In this Icarus film, the Russians were actually substituting. They had a hole in the wall, and they was in the laboratory, and they were substituting the samples
and urine,
urine, all the rest, and that's heavy stuff.
Sure it is, but haven't we done the right thing? Haven't the Olympic...
They can't keep up with it. This was at Sochi.
Haven't they banned Russia from competing?
Yes.
No, they didn't.
No, they did.
Yeah, but they still competed, John.
No, in the next
under
Olympics.
a neutral country they were allowed to. Mick, I'm
It's a
sorry
bit
to
like
say
corruption in the corporate world. If you allow it, you just keep nodding your head and sort of saying, "Oh well, he's corrupt, therefore I'll be corrupt." You never eliminate the problem.
You don't, Mick, but if
same
every
in racehorses,
single
Mick.
person that's successful is
always-
doing it,
they're
get
always-
out of the... If you don't want to be successful, get out of it and do something
Well,
else.
are you seriously saying that? Are you?
I'm talking about
an
the
aspiring
cycle- I'm
cyclist just has
talking
to say, "Oh well, I'm not going to ride in this because they're all cheating, and if I don't cheat, I won't
if
be
there's an
successful."
aspiring cyclist wants to be successful, he has to join what the rest of the world is doing, or just be content with riding mid-pack or coming last.
Authorities are always trying to catch up. There are people thinking of ways of getting the advantage. So the authorities are always one step behind.
You've asked me,
and
Mick.
that's true. I accept that, but you can't abandon the pursuit of the crooks.
You can't.
No,
You
you agree with that? Do you?
Mick, I've agreed with most of the things you said. I'm
You've got to
talking
be
about
very
specifically the mindset of just deciding that this is your profession. I'll just ride out my days at the back of the pack, or I will join everyone else who's successful by doing this. Now, I was about to say. So you tell me to watch the Michael Jordan thing, which I tell you what I will. I will watch that. You watch it's on SBN. There's 2-part series. You will be fascinated by it.
I'll watch
And he
it.
was so honest. I mean, he says
Oh, he's so honest.
He was honest about talking about it
Who's
and how he thought.
You've lost me.
Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong. And if you see what he went through, look, I know. I'll get a belt
sorry,
for
mate. He's
saying
a
it.
liar, Johnny.
What's that?
He blatantly lied.
Of course he did, Don. What do you
He
think he's going to do?
blatantly
When
lied.
someone says, "Do you taking performance-enhancing drugs?" You said, "No." You'd say, "Yes, I am." Well, of course he's not going to say that.
Well,
What
he
else
is
would
a
he
liar,
say?
and
Oh,
he's
everyone's
not-
a liar. Everyone who takes drugs is a
sorry.
liar because
Well,
they
I've just
don't
told you
admit
I
it,
did.
do they? Now, Mick, so you watch that, and I'll watch
No,
your.
I will.
No, please, you'll be.
I will.
Very good. Now, so moving on to our sport. This is my. So it's apparently ramping up in June the 11th.
What,
is
you've
it?
noticed that, have you? Yeah.
What's that?
You've noticed that it's apparently ramping up.
Well, I've
There's a little thing tucked away in the paper about it the other day, wasn't
Hold
it?
on, I'm just bringing it up. It is starting again, and it says that the AFL, they're having a leisure review. That is, they're allowing players to surf and play golf.
I didn't think they were.
No, they said they've overturned it. They're allowing, it's a leisure review, it's called, and they can have groups. How convenient! They can have groups of 20, no more than 20 in a group. Well, how many people are in a football side? 20. Well, there you are. So isn't that convenient? They're allowing groups of 20.
Well, there are 22 these days.
Well, all right, but isn't it convenient?
Well,
that you
not
can
for the other two that missed out.
Oh, well, they were not allowed to go to the games. Isn't it convenient you can have groups of 20? So,
What's your point?
well, my point is that
a
no one
joke.
can go to the games, can they? I don't think the crowd
I
can.
think haven't they got figurines now standing there? They're
Figurines.
sitting in the stand, and
No, he's not serious, is he?
I think they are.
No, but not in Australia, though, is it?
Well,
the AFL aren't proposing that, are they?
I don't know, but they're putting in fake noise or fake cheering, canned cheering.
You said that last week, Don.
I know,
You said
Channel
that.
Are you, Don, not happy that the fact that we're resuming the competition?
Yes.
What's that?
Well, I just think there's so
yes,
many.
you're not happy, or yes, you're happy.
No, I just think there's so many inconsistencies, and they're not doing what society is supposed to do. Why should they get an exemption?
Well,
the
because-
racing people, I understand, because the government needs
Why
money
do you
and it
understand
turns
that?
over and gives them something in their
I see.
coffers.
So, okay.
there's
So it's
lines
money
of
over life, is it?
There's lines of demarcation which are very clouded,
I
and it's
think
all
it's-
governed by greed.
I think it's great that the AFL are starting.
What
Why?
about community football? Isn't that more important? Get the community out and
let's
going?
talk about we'll get onto the community, but let's get
In
onto
all
the Bendigo League and the Sandhurst League and go through all the
And
players again
netball,
for us.
Murray
Some they've never
netball
fucking
and-
heard of. So Don, it's great that the AFL.
I thought I heard a pig then.
Great that the AFL are starting because God knows the revenue and the finance. Everyone needs it. Seven needs it. The AFL needs it. The players need it. So don't worry about racing adding money to the coffers of the government. So it's great that it's about to start up and event.
You're right.
You believe that? You're about to eat a banana.
He's
I am.
killed it.
We're doing a podcast.
Well,
We're doing a podcast, Mick.
I can just have a little nibble.
Would you like some pheasant under glass to be delivered? What the fuck? You are
What?
Ratty,
you're going completely mad.
don't put it back.
You're
You're
sitting
too
here. You've peeled a banana. And you're about to eat a banana while we're doing the podcast. What? Your hunger pangs couldn't get you through to the end of the hour.
Will people see that, will they?
Well, I can see it. You got a dirty, great banana, and it's quite sexy. You
You have mellowed. I
putting
thought,
that in your mouth.
I thought you would have walked out when I started to peel this banana.
Well, Mick, so I'll walk out now. So you and Don carry on. See how long this lasts.
oh, I see. Sorry, Jackie Gleason. We won't survive without you.
Jackie Gleason and away we go.
Sam.
So I see
Isn't
the
that the way? Isn't that the source of your nickname, Jackie Gleason Show?
Yes, it is.
Sammy Spears, wasn't
That's Sammy Spear.
Was
in
it?
his
it? Spear or
orchestra.
Spears, the band
Yes.
Is that
leader.
right? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He always had a very colourful
I'll knock
coat.
you out in a minute, Mick. You deliberately, you know I don't like fruit.
I know.
You've deliberately opened a banana and you've eaten half it and you've put the skin 1 foot away from my hooter, so you're going to have the fumes of
big
that
hooter.
thing go straight into me nostrils.
That is socially distancing. That banana is 3
I'll
metres
tell
from
you,
you.
I'll insert it somewhere in a minute.
Really?
Up your oar.
Why don't you like fruit?
Because I don't.
That's established. Why not?
Well, because I don't like the smell of it or the taste of it.
Mel.
Oh, so when you were a kid, did you?
Yes.
Yeah, you were a kid once, weren't
Yes,
you? Yeah.
that's right. I was
Yeah.
acknowledging that.
Yeah. Did you eat fruit then?
No.
What about when your dad or your mum
Or
or
do you
both?
want me to clarify that answer?
No, but wouldn't they say eat it? Wouldn't they? Like the rest of us said to our kids.
Yes, I didn't like it, and I
No,
tried.
you've never eaten fruit.
Not quite never, but I don't like it, so I choose not to eat it. I don't know how many times I
isn't
can
it?
explain that.
No, it's just an intriguing situation. You don't eat apples or oranges.
I'm not sure what part of I don't eat fruit you don't understand, Mick, but I don't. So I'm sorry, I can't explain that any clearer.
Right, okay.
But if you'd like me to back over it again, I'll go right ahead.
No.
So I've noticed. So the football. Can we just do that again? Yep. You got 20 players or 18 on the ground, I think still these days, is there? 18, so there's 36 slugging it out, knocking each other, bumping, tackling. The umpires, I'm told, are going to wear gloves.
Are they?
Oh, matching handbag and shoes. What are they doing? They're wearing gloves. Why would the umpires be wearing gloves?
Why are they washing the football?
Washing?
Well, putting it in a rinse or a detergent or
What, after every kick?
Well, I don't know. I've
tell
seen
me,
them
Don.
do it. I've
So-
seen them do it on television. I don't know when
This
they
is
do
how
it.
nonsensical this is getting. The umpires, I'm told,
No,
are going to
are
wear
they-
gloves.
I didn't know that.
Well, that was in the tissues, in the paper.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can't believe everything unless Mark Robinson said it on 360. Geez, did we get a belting from Hutchie and Damien Barrett last week?
You listened to that, did you?
No, I didn't, but I was told.
Yeah. By the invisible
Does it matter
one.
who told me?
Well, yeah. You can't believe everyone. Who told you?
Lance Armstrong, I think. No, someone
Hang on,
told
just
me.
wind it back. Who got a belting?
Well, Mark Robinson directly got a belting, and we indirectly got a
No,
belting.
I don't think we did. Robbo did.
I'm being diplomatic. Robbo got a belting.
yeah.
Robbo got a belting.
From Damien Barrett.
Yes.
Well, there's a personality
and they
conflict.
mentioned they played some of our conversation on Hutchie and Damien's
Well, that's good.
podcast.
That's cross-pollination,
but they
cross-promotion.
didn't acknowledge where they'd heard it. They didn't.
Oh.
No, he did finally. He did finally.
Oh, well, let up.
He shouldn't. That was on You Cannot Be Serious. Move on.
I see.
Yeah.
Who said that? Craig Hutchison?
Hutchie, yeah.
So there's a bit of we said this, a bit of cross-pollination rivalry here, isn't
No,
it?
no, that's not true. There's a major confrontation between Barrett and Robinson.
And what is it? Professional jealousy?
Well, I don't actually know the origin of it, but it's fierce.
Well,
in
we
fact, fierce to the point that Damien said, "I refuse to have that man's name mentioned on our program."
Well, anyhow, that's up to Damien. But we had very good reaction to Mark Robinson, I think.
He was good.
No, but don't worry about it. We thought he was good or not. The people, the one or two listeners we have, the 1.4 million who have tuned in over this journey.
That's over 3 years or something, isn't it?
That's over since we've been starting doing this.
No need to scowl.
Well, when I say 1.4 million, that doesn't mean that means it's the same number each week. Listen, and you multiply that by
So the
number
AFL
of-
say they say 9
Yes.
million people went to the football.
That's correct.
You know.
So anyhow, so the majority of people who listened to Mark Robinson thought he was excellent. Now, can I just mention Eddie Maguire, who's taken a bit of a belting twice in as many weeks. Tim Lane has said that Eddie rounded him up and abused him because he wouldn't wear the Channel 9 jacket. Christ. You got the
You eating the below your
span.
peel, it's
You got
so
the
delicate.
attention span of a whipfly. If you're going to eat the banana again.
When you start speaking, I know I've got about 3 minutes before I need to be prepared for an answer.
Well, did you cross what Eddie's been taking a belting for? Because Tim Lane seemed to think there was something wrong with Eddie saying he should wear the Channel 9 blazer and be part of the team, and Tim's sort of reflecting in the fact that he's an ABC. Why did he take the job if he wasn't about to put himself on the line with Channel 9? Hello? This is when, Don, Channel 9 had the football and they recruited Tim Lane to be a caller.
Yeah.
And Tim said he'd call the football as long as Eddie didn't call the Collingwood games.
Oh, yes,
What?
yeah.
How about you let the station
Yeah, that's
run
right. No, I
who
agree with
calls
that.
the Collingwood games and let Tim just do his job
And
and
Eddie's-
wear the blazer?
Look, and Eddie's is clearly is conflicted, but I mean that's what Eddie's life is.
Everyone is. You're
Yeah,
conflicted, Mick.
Why? How is he conflicted?
Well, because you write about football.
Oh, do I? You know, I left the paper 9 years ago.
Oh, Jesus. You have written about football,
Yeah.
and you have friends in the game, and you have people you don't like in the game, so you go easy on your friends. You don't traduce them.
This is specifically or generally?
Generally.
Okay.
Yes. And
But you're right.
Everyone is conflicted, and I see Colin Carter has come out and said to Eddie, because Eddie said as his media commentator that Jack Stephen, who's been stabbed by his girlfriend,
Careful.
wasn't he?
Well, I don't think that's established,
we don't know.
is it?
Well, I'm
Surmising.
Indiana, apparently.
Go say the whole lot now.
That's in the paper. It said
It says that Indiana has been a girlfriend.
it was it alluded to the fact that he got stabbed by his girlfriend, right? Well, whatever she is.
I thought the Herald Sun said yesterday we're not suggesting that.
Well, I'm not.
She stabbed him.
I'm suggesting that there's probably more likelihood that happened than not, but I'm not saying it did, right?
Oh, I see.
Or else why would you say it? So anyhow, all Eddie said was
Speaker John Newman.
I'm not saying it happened. All Eddie said was, if you're going to call a press conference, Geelong, to say what the Jack Stevens, is it, or Stephen?
Stephen.
Jack Stevens situation is, for at least tell us
No,
what...
They didn't call a press conference to discuss the Jack Stephen affair.
No, but there was a press conference.
There was a
and
press
they were
conference
asked
called,
about it.
and they could reasonably presume that they would be asked about it. Yeah,
That's right. And just Jack Stephen to this day not told Geelong why he was stabbed.
apparently not.
Well, that is nonsense. I know. I'm not saying
He
yours.
hasn't-
I'm
he
not
hasn't
saying
told the
you're
police, has
speaking
he?
nonsense.
He's
I'm
spoken
not
to the
saying
police,
you're
has he?
speaking nonsense, but if the club said to Jack Stephen, mate, what is all this about? And he said, I'll tell
club
you
would
what's
know
happened.
the club would know
What is
exactly
wrong with
what
Eddie is he's
the
part
club-
of his commentating and media role, asking what came out of the press conference when they asked Jack how he got stabbed. What's wrong with him asking that?
Doesn't Eddie have history of not providing information about Collingwood players?
Maybe.
He's more conflicted if he doesn't ask that question.
Of course he is. No, he is. He's
Who
more.
is that?
He is more conflicted because people say, "Oh, it's a boys' club," and he's protecting Cole Carter and all those people and the presidents from. You would absolutely ask why Jack Stephen got stabbed if
Well,
there's a press
I'll
conference.
tell you what I would say, and this is not comparing now and what was previously. The old media would have told us by now what happened. The old media.
So when you were there, you would have disclosed.
I'm talking
this
about.
by
I'm talking
now?
about the old media. They would. Of course, they would have.
That's
This is
right.
a
So
major
what's
talking
going on?
point.
Well, what's going on?
Well, I don't know the answer to that.
So Eddie is absolutely correct in saying, for God's sake, mate, this is not the Nuremberg war trials. Tell us why Jack Stephen has admitted to hospital with a stab wound. I mean, honestly
but
and
the
truly.
criticism of Eddie is that there's been at least 2 cases previously involving Collingwood players.
There's
where
been
he said-
100.
No, involving Collingwood
There's been
players.
hundreds of
during
them.
his reign, where he just sort of said, "No, there's mental health issues, and we trust our players, and this is a matter for us."
Okay. But
So
if
there are people saying
if
it's
he
inconsistent.
But if he is the devil's advocate on a talk show, on his morning show called The Hot Breakfast, and he doesn't say, did we find out at the press conference why Jack Stephen was admitted to hospital to stab? If he doesn't ask that, he's not doing his job.
Yeah, I'm not angry. I'm not.
Yeah, I think you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about.
Well, what are you?
It's the
You've given us 7 analogies why he's out of line.
The issue it's on the table
Jeez, I
here
wish we had a guest today. But anyhow, this will be good. For 2 hours we can discuss this. Go ahead.
is consistency. That's all.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but everyone's
the-
inconsistent
the
when
thing
it
with-
comes to their club and what they ask about other people.
Don, the thing with Eddie's problem is, and it was not going to go away because Eddie's just ubiquitous, right? So,
Ubiquitous.
Ed is prepared.
Ubiquitous.
Have you got your dictionary?
No, I
you
want
don't
you
need
to
it.
tell me.
You don't.
No, I don't know.
You
It
don't
means-
know what ubiquitous means.
Means everywhere, Don. So Ed is prepared to wear the flack, isn't he? Because he just sort of says, "Well, I don't care. I'm going to have 25 hats, and if they
That's
cross
it.
over, bad luck."
That's
Yeah.
well, that's because you're conflicted. Everyone's conflicted.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
when you speak, when
Some
like-
more than others, John.
Well, of course, some more than others, but when you're talking about your club and they say, who do you think will win the game? You say, oh, I think the club you play for will win, because you think, oh, if you don't tip your club, you'll be maligned by people. You say, gee, you're disloyal, as if you picking your side not to win is disloyal.
Hey, did either of you notice that?
Can I, just before you finish, I just want to ask you one question. What is the worst thing if we say that Jack Stephen got stabbed by, well, not necessarily Indiana, but a loved one? What's the worst thing that someone's ever done to you in a? What's the worst thing that? Yeah, I got run over.
I'm aware.
I got backed over by a light Korean model car. No matter how light they are, when they back over you, they've got a sump and wheels and a diff and an engine. They are pretty bloody fucking heavy.
I just
Let me
want to take you back
that.
to one of my favourite lines with
Hang
that
on, just
episode.
can I? Where did it get you the car?
Where
Broke
did you
his
get me?
leg.
What, leg, chest?
Broke my leg in 2, placed my ankle in
Really?
3.
Sammy, just
Really?
tell
Yeah.
me when Leone.
Was it? So you've mentioned so Indiana. We weren't allowed to mention Indiana.
When Leone just appeared to be proceeding away from you,
Yes.
and suddenly you saw the brake light, the
Yeah.
reverse lights
No,
go
I
on.
saw the brake lights go on. I thought, wow, that's good. She stopped. She's going. And then I saw the reverse lights go on, and back she came for another go. And as
What?
she
So you were already. Hang
and
on.
as she got to about this is
you're
a
already-
time and motion study.
Start from the start.
So
I'm-
hang on, the car's run over you once. You're laying there, and the car comes back for a
That's
second
not
time.
true, is it?
That is absolutely true, Mick.
She ran over you
Oh,
twice.
No, she didn't run over me twice.
Well, that's what he just said.
She backed over me the first time, and then she drove up the road, and I saw the brake lights go on. Mind you, I'm lying in the back road of my house with a broken leg and ankle,
Wow.
thinking, how well am I going? This is an interesting life I'm leading at the minute. And what got my attention quickly and snapped me out of it was when I saw the reverse lights on the car go on. And back she came.
Oh.
She was going to have another crack at me. And as she got, this is a time and motion study, trying to think while you've got excruciating pain in your person. As she got to within about 15 metres, I calculated if I quickly assumed the position of a Swiss Army knife, because I had
Hang
a
on.
broken arm and a broken leg, I could vault over the back fence as she drove past in reverse. And as she got within about 15 metres, I assumed the position of a Swiss Army knife, and I vaulted over the fence, and she reversed back, and I escaped another belting.
Did you? You literally went over the fence, did you?
Well,
With your broken leg.
through the door, the back door, and you wouldn't believe this. Not long after that, we broke up, and and I'm wondering how Jack's.
What were you doing behind
I'm wondering
the
how
car?
Jack's going with his partner. I could
What
have
were
a
you
chat
doing
to
behind
him.
the car in the first place?
Well, I walked around. We'd had a small argument.
I understand. No. What were you doing
small
behind?
Well,
the
I
car?
got
don't-
dropped off, and I walked around the back of the car
Yeah,
thinking, here's a tip, if ever you have an argument with a loved one and they drop you off, get onto the median strip really quickly. I made the fatal mistake of walking around the back of the car, and bang, over we went.
What was the essence of the
No, we
minor
don't want to go
disagreement?
into that.
Well, it's just one of those small things, like the big things you can handle in life, but it's the small things. I think I'd been out to dinner, and I think maybe she said, "Could you pass the ketchup?" And I said, "Fuck off! You've ruined my life." And I said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." And that was it. The damage had been done, and. So that's how small arguments start. If you put that banana in your mouth one more time, Mick, I will insert it through your gullet.
What about when Mick Hamill just smashed you through the front door? I love your story.
Yeah, no, this is good. Anything that's caused me grief and pain, Mick, that brings actually a sign of bemusement to you.
Oh, more than
Yeah.
that, I break up into raucous laughter.
Mick managed to dislodge me. I don't know if you've ever seen someone with their nose under their ear.
Well, I know you've got a big hooter.
He removed it from in between my eyes. I was breathing out through one of my earlobes. The doc said, when I went in to have it replaced into
He
the
hadn't
front of
seen
my
a hooter
face,
so big.
he said, "I've never seen someone's nostrils under their ear." I said, "No, it's a decent belt, isn't it?" I said, "It would have to be a decent belt to actually punch you through the security door I had." Imagine that, being punched through a
And so
security
is
door.
that when you decided to have one with the lot and get the forehead
One
done?
with
and
the lot.
yeah,
The doc
yeah.
said, "Do you want anything else done?" I said, "Like what?" He said, "Oh, I can tighten and tuck and pull and nip." I said, "Well, I guess I'd give us a Big Mac. Give us one with the lot." And it made me look like a Manx cat for 6 years, so my eyes went up like I Dream a Genie.
I thought you had. That
What's that,
dropsy-
Don?
Dropsy. I thought you had the dropsy, or what? What are you? when your
No,
face-
Palsy.
Palsy,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I said I did.
Did you?
No.
You didn't have it.
No.
Here am I defending you for years.
Yeah, no, I had Bell's palsy. Yeah,
Bell's
I did.
palsy.
Yeah.
I'm defending you.
Well, that's good, thanks. No, I did have Bell's
His
palsy.
life in Middle Park was tough for you,
Oh,
wasn't it?
the middle, everywhere in the world, Mick. Just cruising around the suburbs. Oh, it was just disaster seemed to follow me. So what's the worst thing, if I could get on, I'm happy to open up about me. What's the worst thing a loved one has done to you, Don?
No, nothing.
Well, they pulled your dick off or what? Well, what has someone done to you?
Mental anguish. That'd be the
Mental anguish.
hardest.
What about physically? Have they ever
No,
belted you
nothing,
or
nothing.
hit you with something?
Nothing.
Or Mick?
Well,
You be careful what you say because you're asking me to open up. How about you tell us
I
something?
remember I put the hose on the mother of my 4 children at one point. Over a,
What, you belted her with it?
no,
No, that wasn't
Oh,
done
took
to
the
you.
hose to
yeah,
her.
that's something you subjected somebody to.
I,
But
that's
what
right.
about
And then
yourself?
I'm going to tell you what the response was. And then
Was it a hot day?
Not particularly.
No.
And I just squirted it probably in the facial area.
Facial area.
Yeah, and
That'd be the face.
Yeah, and she picked up a rock that Ray Rigby wouldn't have been able to pick up. And it sailed past my nose by about an inch. And that was probably the start of the end.
That's probably how it starts, isn't it? So, Don, there's an open up and nice...
Come on, Don.
Okay, now I'll give you something.
Here we
There you are, Donnie.
If you were to have a second life, what would you come back as?
No, Don, you've got to answer the question that we answered.
Don, you've had a number of liaisons with men and women alike and beast.
Never had.
Oh, it's a joke, Don. You've had a number of women in your life. What is the most critical thing that someone has done to you?
Nothing.
No,
really, nothing at all.
They've never pushed you or spat on you or thrown something
called
at
you
you.
a name you didn't like.
Yeah, so you
you
old.
plenty of names.
Oh, you old sausage.
How are you and Claire going anyway on this front?
Who?
Claire.
Claire?
You old sausage.
Jeez.
What?
I don't know.
You don't know how you're going with Claire?
No.
That's funny, John, isn't it? He doesn't know how he's going with Claire.
Well, why not? What?
I don't know.
Well, you must have some idea how you're going, Don. You're not some rabbit, are you? Not a ferret. You must know is it a woman?
I don't know.
You must
Claire.
Oh, is it?
You must know if Claire has some sort of empathy with you. That word, Don, empathy. Does she think you're bonza? Bonza.
You can tell it's right. Look at his. He doesn't know what to do.
I'm staying.
How long have you been?
You're staggered that I know who's been the
Bo.
subject of your affections.
Oh no, Bo is. Yeah. How long have you been track and square with Claire?
What? Claire, you mean she's married? Oh, married.
No wonder we're just treading warily, Donny.
What are you?
Sorry, Claire. That was another woman I was thinking of.
Oh, so Mick, you've tipped him in. You reckon he's going out with Claire, who's actually married? I tell you what, I want you to arm the door out.
Can we
here.
cut this bit off?
Eh?
Can we cut this bit out?
Well, cut his dick off. What, Mick? Don.
Now, listen, I asked you a sensible question. What would you like in a second life? What would you like to come back as? I'll lead it off. An attractive female. An attractive, is that better, Rod? An attractive female. If I had a second chance.
Why, Don?
So
you stop
this
and
would be
think
good.
about it. An attractive female.
Yeah. So what? The world is at your feet.
I reckon.
Yeah.
So you are charmed and wooed by every rich man in the world, and you live the life of Riley.
Many doors.
What?
Opens up so many doors.
I see. So you just opens up so many doors if you'll open your legs.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, Don, please,
Excuse
let's
me.
not beat around the bush. You're saying you
No, I
can
did
actually
not say that
copulate
at
your
all.
way to success.
I did not say
Yeah,
that.
he
at
did
all.
say that.
Yeah.
That was the implication, wasn't
Marilyn,
No, there was no implication.
Andy Warhol said about Marilyn Monroe, copulation was her copulation was Marilyn's simple way of saying thanks. Marilyn Monroe.
it?
So can
So
you
you'd
tell
like
me
to
another?
come-
I've got another one too.
You'd like-
Can you tell me why people in the more affluent areas, now driving up here of a morning, are into exercise, where areas in the less affluent areas they don't exercise as much? Now
It's a very astute observation, though. I agree with
we
that.
have this conversation.
Yes, because
Did I
there's
really?
a degree of
I must be going
narcissism
ready.
with the beautiful people, isn't
Did I
there?
really? Yeah.
But if you're living out in the suburbs and you're fucked and you've given up about how you look aesthetically, you just don't give a stuff.
What are you mouthing for?
You agree, Mick?
Well, say it, Nick. Well, don't mouth. What are you saying?
Yeah. Well, don't be so weak.
Oh, sorry.
No, come on. What are you mouthing?
He said that's exactly right. There's a degree of narcissism amongst the beautiful people because they want to be
Do you think
noticed.
they're more motivated in the
Yes.
inner suburban areas?
Yes.
They're more aware?
Yes.
There's got to be something.
Because they like to be preened and wooed after.
No, but
and
that'll also have an effect on their, influence their life. They're motivated
right.
people. They're up and
you
going.
got to have some vanity about you. That's why you see large people wandering around eating McDonald's, and you think, what in God's name's going
You don't
on
see
there?
them in the more affluent areas. do
No,
you?
oh no, because they're very, very prestigious about their being, personal being. And then people say, don't fat shame people. Well, why not?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And
Fat shaming works.
I think they.
I'd rather have a McDonald's or KFC in the suburbs, the working class suburbs, than in South Yarra or
Why?
Ture.
Why? What's the difference?
I don't even know why I said that.
I don't know either.
What about this? No,
Fantastic.
I'm distracted. I've just this in
That's
18,
right,
18 years' time.
It's like girls
This
with
bloke will be
tattoos.
the Prime Minister of Australia and perhaps running the world. There's a bloke called Tom posted this on Twitter. My 3-year-old son just came up to me and asked me, quote, Daddy, why are the AFL allowed to be so irresponsible by returning in a sport which does not practice social distancing? And why have they been pushing for a June 11 return before the South Australian and West Australian governments have allowed them?
Or before kids can go to school.
And then the father goes, I had no words. Well, his kid's got them all. How can I was in nappies at 3.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's used a bit of license there, hasn't he?
So I sent him a response back. I said, in capital, I said, are you sure about the kid said that?
And
Why
the
would you post that?
kids aren't allowed to go to school yet, and yet you can play AFL football. And
know,
the umpire's wearing gloves.
I know 10-year-olds that don't even know that West Australia and South Australia exist.
So Don?
Sorry.
No. So, Don, you'd
Sorry
like
to
to
get
come
off the
back as a
hamburgers.
good-looking broad, would you?
Yeah, I would.
Why don't you just screw your way around the
What
world?
would you come back
not
as?
at all.
What would you come back as?
Oh, cat.
A cat.
Well,
A cat.
how supercilious are cats?
Yeah, they are.
They don't give any
They're no
love
good.
or affection. They just get fawned over. They
Yeah.
eat, and then they go and stick their tail up at you and
Yeah.
you walk
Stick
and lick. Yeah, they clean them, and then they walk out, and they have no interest in you at all. But you dote after them, as opposed to dogs. How many fucking dogs are in
Yeah,
this community?
yeah, I know.
When they decide, Mick, when someone says that dogs that urinate and defecate just out in the open in shop fronts and
Yeah.
when they work out that spreads coronavirus, I want to see the people who own dogs, what they'll do with them.
Yeah, no,
They'll do nothing.
I'm with you on that.
It's how many people are
I know.
just got
I
these
know.
Well, you and I
dogs.
labour that point.
Oh, it's
I
unreal.
know who I'm coming back as, who I'd like to come back as.
What as?
Shane Warne.
What?
Shane Warne's got the best life of any person in my time on the planet.
You see, he'll be very, very flattered to hear you say that.
Well, tell me what.
Well, he's an outstanding sportsman.
You're an outstanding sportsman.
Oh, yeah.
You're an outstanding man, Mick. You got morals and principles. You're
I have got those.
socialist.
Yeah, I have got those.
Yeah.
Wait, Warne,
Communist.
what is the downside in Warnie's life?
No,
You'd have to ask him. He probably might
Well,
have a
Sam's
lot.
his best friend.
Well, I'm a friend of his. Yes, I am. No, I said if they'd ever played cricket in America,
Yeah.
he would be as big as Ronaldo, who is the biggest
He's not
sport.
American, is he?
No, that's a
he's
good
not
point,
American.
Michael. He's, very good
Ronaldo
point.
is the biggest
Would he be as
sports
big as Jordan?
biggest sports person, man,
In
sports
Europe, in
person
Europe.
in the world.
Oh no.
Well, you tell me a bigger sports
I think
person
in Europe.
in the world, Ronaldo.
Okay, anyway.
Well, just do you not agree with that?
I would have thought, is Jordan bigger?
Tom Brady.
Jordan's.
Don't he
finished,
play
but he
gridiron
was.
in America? Tiger Woods, maybe.
Yeah, Tiger. Yeah.
Ronaldo, you don't know. You don't realise how big soccer is in the world.
Yeah,
It's the
but
biggest sporting event in the world, the World Cup soccer.
Yes, but it's not big. It's not the biggest in America.
Well,
not
it's
the biggest
getting
sport.
big.
It is.
It's
it is.
getting
I
big.
agree with you
And
there. but it's not
Ronaldo
the
is
big-
it.
It'll never
Anyway.
topple baseball or NFL.
I'm coming back as Shane Warne or Winks.
Winks,
Well, an athlete. He's a great athlete, Winks.
and she's a man.
Jared Waitley calls racehorses athletes.
Well, he's wrong. He is that.
Well,
that
they
is.
are, there are athletes. They are.
They are not, Don. They are categorically wrong. Now, please, Don, don't show your ignorance. You do it enough here as it is, but don't do it. Don't
point.
Don't massage it.
Don't point.
Only humans can be athletes.
You have athletic horses, my friend.
I said only humans can be athletes.
You,
There is no room for discussion on that.
Yeah, that's a moot point.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, anyway, I want to ask you about Warney.
Yes.
Why
You're
does
obsessed
Warney...
with him. Or do you want
No,
to
no.
like to go out on a date with him? I
Well,
tell you what, that'd
no,
be
I would.
interesting.
I would-
I tell you, box you into a cocked hat. Oh, no pun intended.
I would happily go.
You'll upend you quick as you can look at you.
what are you talking? What?
What do you want to... I mean, and he can get any woman he wants in the world anyway. I want to know why he doesn't like Steve Waugh, and in fact why he says he's the most selfish bloke he ever played with. Have you discussed this with him?
I have.
And do you know who Steve Waugh is?
The mother of all wars? Is that Saddam Hussein said that, didn't he?
That was about Mark.
Oh, I said he's the mother of all wars. So Shane, I think, has statistics on his side saying that Steve Waugh ran out 176 people in his career or something like that.
Is there a clash of personalities?
Yes, and I think
Okay.
Steve Waugh, when he was captain of Australia, dropped him.
I see.
Okay, so there's a clash.
Didn't
there.
he?
I think he did.
He did. He was coming back from a shoulder injury, Shane, and Steve elected to go with the other spinner who was, you would know, I can't think of
Stuart
his name.
McGill, was it McGill? then?
Might have been
Yeah, that's right. I think
Stuart
Don, yeah.
McGill,
Yeah.
Donald. And I think Shane felt unjustly, he was unjustly treated. But I think he said he was the most selfish
So he did.
player because he ran out. That's a statistical fact. But just because you criticise someone doesn't mean to say you don't respect them or necessarily. I don't think he likes
I
him
must say, I
necessarily.
wouldn't like to be called the most selfish individual that you've met in your life.
Well, yes, cricketer.
What did he say?
Cricketer.
Why don't we get him a microphone?
So, Mick, if you've run out 176 people,
I don't believe that.
Oh well,
You picked it off the top of your
no.
cranium.
I thought I remember someone saying that. I'll check that in a minute.
He wouldn't have had that many innings in Test cricket, would he?
It's just over 100 and he ran at 73.
Oh, 73, not 173.
No, it was 100, about 110.
No, look, speaking of the microphone, for God's
Why
sake,
don't you
if
get
you're
one?
gonna-
There's a microphone. Nobody's using
I'm
it.
going to check that in a minute. But no matter what, if you have run out by far the most people out of any player ever playing Test cricket, probably you have a reasonable assurance that when you say someone is selfish, that would probably you could stump up an argument for that, couldn't you? That's what he was saying.
Well, I don't know. You don't get involved in the arguments because Shane might be using it. There's a clash of personalities, and he might be
using statistics
if there wasn't
as
clash,
a guide.
as a backup. But if there
Yes.
wasn't a clash of personalities,
It's a fact.
he still does it, and he wouldn't.
It's a
call
fact that
himself
he ran out that
Well,
many.
no, it's not. Because in a run out, both people can be culpable. You know, there's a bad call or the bloke
Yes.
won't back up.
Okay,
or
so
whatever.
if the overwhelming preponderance of run-outs occur against one person, you would say there's something going on here, wouldn't
Okay.
you?
Okay.
Could I ask you something about your motor dress? It's 6 degrees today. You've got a woolen jumper on. You've got fingerless gloves, woolen gloves, yet you've still got shorts
Yes,
on.
because I've got no feeling from my waist down, Don. The
your
swings
son-
are still
and your
there,
son-
but the
and your
playground's
son-
completely rooted.
And your
It's more like an amusement park down
your
there
son's
these days.
dresses
You
exactly
should
the
know that.
same. Your son dresses exactly the same, except you've got shoes on. He's got nothing.
That'll
on.
be fascinating to the people listening to this, Don.
Well, we are what we are. We are. I am my father, and he is you.
Whatever
Wow.
you're talking about, Don.
Jeez.
I am me. Is that Socrates?
No, it's deep and meaningful, and you'd know nothing about it.
Hey, Sammy,
Yes.
do you know Clementine Ford? Do you, Don? Do you know Clementine Ford?
No.
Do you, Sam?
No. Who is she?
She is the woman who said that on last Saturday she said this, that coronavirus isn't killing men fast enough.
Yep. And what's her point?
And who is she?
Now, why did she
I
say
think
that?
she's- I don't know. But
Well, who is she?
Well,
Is she Australian?
yes, she is, isn't she? Yep. And she's a
And
commentator,
What was she on?
Rod?
So she's a feminist.
Yeah, so
Who
I'm only
wrote the
raising this
story-
point. I don't
Who
care.
wrote the story?
Our mate, the bolter, Andrew
No,
Bolt.
your mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very, very good commentator, Andrew Bolt.
Yes, you always take the minority view. The champion of the underdog you are. Anyway,
do you remember Andrew Bolt sat at this
Yes,
microphone?
I do.
And
I do.
he said if there was a crowd of 100,000 at the MCG, 80,000 would agree with him, but they wouldn't admit it.
Yeah, I think that's...
well, that's right. So why you said he's a minority view? He is the majority view in
No,
this
you
world.
are. I could accuse you of having the minority view. What I want to say is, I don't care that she says that because, in all honesty, none of the three of us know who she is. But imagine a bloke saying that about, I wish the coronavirus had killed more women.
Yeah.
Now imagine the uproar. Imagine you doing that.
That's exactly right, mate.
Standing on the streets of Parliament House with your golf clubs.
This was my point
saying
with
that.
Caroline Wilson. People women want to be treated equally, but not too equally. And that is a classic case. So Clementine, whatever her name is a relevant and insignificant person. And if she's a feminist, she probably has a grudge against men because most of them probably wouldn't give her a second look, and that's why she doesn't like them. And usually the people
just bases that, do you?
Well, usually the people that whinge about men are those people that wouldn't attract a man's eye in a day's march.
Read that.
I rest my case. Just looking at her now on screen. Well, I rest my case.
Tell us about her.
Well, I'm looking at her now.
Yeah,
Well, read it. Tell us.
Well, I'm just looking at her picture.
but what does it say
no,
about
we
it?
want to read.
It says Clementine Ford is an Australian feminist writer, broadcaster and public speaker. She wrote a regular column for Daily Life for 7 years. So she's irrelevant and insignificant. And why would you... So
do you think that's just like deliberately trying to get your name out there?
We don't take offence at it.
No, I'm not.
Because
I'm not
it's
offended
just
by it.
so gratuitously
And I
stupid.
understand what Mick is saying. If a male was to say that, there'd be a
That's right.
hue and cry.
Yeah.
But a woman, we don't care. As men, we don't care.
Okay. So here's Rod has got the statistics up about Steve Waugh. He's played in 493 matches. He's run out 100.
He's been involved in 104 run-outs.
All right. Well, seeing as you can't hear him, I'll repeat this. He's been involved in 104 run-outs, 31 ran himself out, and 73 ran his partner
Is that
out.
slightly
selfish
different.
or bad decision making?
Yeah, that's slightly different to what you said. You said he'd run out 176.
I did say that.
And you gave him... You didn't say that he'd run himself out or he'd been run out.
No, I didn't say any of that, Mick.
The next one is 48.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but he's played 400 tests or something.
no, he's played less than the two people behind him. So he has run out at nearly twice as many people as the next person who have played
Has he
more
actually-
tests.
yeah, but
So I did get the stats wrong, but the principle is the same. The essence of it is the same. That Shane would be reasonably confident in saying that statistic would prove that he's a bit selfish.
Don?
I can't see where. So I think it's more bad decision making.
Yeah,
isn't it?
well, there's an element of that. Don, did you know that 130 people have come forward to claim that they are Jeffrey Epstein's children?
How many?
Really?
130.
Are they DNA tested?
Well, they would have
Jeffrey Epstein. Explain to Don
Yeah,
and
I know
the,
Johnny.
well, explain to the people listening who Jeffrey Epstein is.
He's
Well,
a
they
cousin
need-
of Louis Epstein who had a clothing shop in Flinders Lane.
Well, what about Buddy Epstein?
Not Jeffrey Edelston.
No, Jeffrey Epstein, the bloke, Prince
I know.
Andrew's mate.
Yes, and Bill Clinton's.
Yeah, and
Bill Clinton knows him better than Prince Andrew.
And Hillary.
Hillary,
Yeah.
the enabler.
And he had an estate worth 635 million.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And
what did he do?
he was definitely murdered, so that...
He was what?
He was definitely murdered.
In jail.
In jail. He was definitely murdered,
Wow,
so
that's
that...
who told you that?
Gee, where did you get this one?
Mick
Just
Gallo or
read
someone
between
told
the
you?
lines, Mick.
Oh, I see.
Just if you just look into the fact that he had dirt on every top operator
Yeah.
in the world who went to his sex haven on
The
the
island,
island,
yeah.
and Bill Clinton, who was in the plane 8,000 times with girls dressed in scanty clothes under the name of hostesses who were serving drinks on the plane. If you want to know why he would have been murdered, is the fact that he could have tipped the bucket on society. And that is that's not a fact, but that is so close to the truth.
These things that you're saying, accusations come out
A
Why
very
is
good.
it always history that shows?
I'll tell you why it doesn't come out, because Bill Clinton, who's a Democrat, will not be tipped in by the mainstream media in America. But if it was Trump, they'd still be talking about it.
What? So they're all of the same political views.
They are
all the American media.
The mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN is the most disgracefully corrupt news organisation in the
because
world.
they've got a different view to you.
No, because they give no credence at all to what's going on with the corruption allegations about Obama and the White House spying on Trump. They give they don't even talk about it. They only talk about, they've never, of the 100 stories they do about Trump, 98 of them are always negative.
Yeah, well, I can understand
No,
why.
you couldn't understand that, Mick.
I can.
Because
he's a galoot, your mate.
He's not a galoot. He is a brilliant politician.
Oh,
he is brilliant.
Well, this is the bloke who says drink detergent and then take this.
No.
He didn't
that-
never say that,
no,
Mick.
he
See,
didn't say that.
You
He
are, that's what
asked a
they say.
question.
You are delusional. That's
Yeah, he
what
asked
the
a
American
question.
media say. And he got criticised for taking hydroxychloroquine,
Yeah.
which they said is unproven, and yet half the doctors say it is a terrific thing to do to ward off the coronavirus.
Well, the World Health Organization is just
The World Health- the World
it's
Health-
a danger to safety.
The World Health Organization are in bed with China. They said that they were the most transparent people. Chinese had been fantastic. They are a disgrace to the world. They've got a bloke they are a disgrace.
What were you going to say about the bloke?
The bloke, his name, I can't think of his
Julia
name.
Bishop
The head of
criticised
the World Health Organization is corrupt and has been put there by the Chinese.
How many rich do you reckon we'll get after this?
Oh,
today's show?
dude,
There's about 4 people
Well,
lining
people
up.
are all he's doing is echoing what people are thinking anyway. And I said Julia Bishop raised that concern months and
The
months ago.
Wuhan coronavirus got out of hand
And
because
why
they
did
kept
the
it
World
secret.
Health Organization? Who's the dictator in Syria?
No,
Assad?
Yes.
Okay, well, they neglected one part of the society that was suffering in Syria with coronavirus.
Okay.
And it was the World Health Organization
all I said-
behind that as well.
The news this morning said the World Health Organization suspends the trial of the malaria drug, whatever it's called, due to safety concerns.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. And so he has been...
Who said that?
The WHO.
The WHO are about as corrupt.
Have a guess who's here? Look at that.
So he's the guest?
Yeah. Oh, no, he just was walking by and thought he'd call in.
He had nothing better to do.
I've asked. We've been doing this for a year, and I said, I only knew you were. I'm speaking to him now off mic. I only knew you were coming in 5 minutes ago. I wasn't even given the courtesy of telling you that he came in. Anyhow, we'll get to you in a minute.
Don't name him.
So that is absolute lie, what you said then. That is
What?
World Health Organization propaganda, and it's all indirectly aimed at Trump.
I didn't lie. I'm telling you what was on the news this morning.
Yeah, they're liars.
Oh, everyone's a liar, aren't they?
Well, they slanted.
Donald and Lance Armstrong are the only 2 truthful people in the world, are they?
I didn't say Lance Armstrong was truthful. I didn't say that at all. So
I can't wait for this because
we get onto it in 1 second. Now, if you hadn't had the snip and you could get it up still, and
What?
you had,
Hang on.
That's a bit personal, isn't it?
No.
well, could you get it up still?
No,
Well,
hang on. The
you've had
snip
the snip-
doesn't mean you can't get it up.
Or you've had the snip, you can't reproduce, can you?
That's
No,
right.
that's right.
better.
Can you reproduce still,
Can I
Mick,
reproduce?
if you wished?
Could I reproduce it at 73?
Okay.
Probably not.
Just say, hypothetically, you could reproduce
Yeah.
and you had a child. The most popular names for girls and boys are these.
Charlotte?
Charlotte is number 1 for a girl. How did you know that?
That's
Have you
a
read
very-
this the same?
I didn't know what you're reading.
Well, these are the most popular names going round. This is for a boy. Oliver, Noah, Jack, William and Leo. They're the top 5. None of us get a mention there because Mick, I don't think Mick, Don and John got a mention there.
You're Jack? Or John Jack?
Oh, John Jack. Or Hi Jack. Or Jack Hi. Or how are you? Jack Daniels. What are you talking about?
Come on, give us the women.
And the women are Charlotte, Olivia, Amelia, Isla,
Isla, that is.
Well, if you call
What-
it
what is
Isla.
it?
Well, that's what people who call their kids ISLA call it Isla.
Oh, well, what do you call Doritos? Doritos. I call them Doritos.
I do. Oh,
Who said they're Isla?
Their parents do.
And Mia.
Yeah.
Now, what that doesn't include is people who want non-binary offspring, and they give them generic names so that you don't know if they're male or female. Like Carol, remember Carol O'Connor, who was a man, or
Yeah.
Carol Shelby, Charlie, Kim, Robin, Bobby, Andy. They're all names
Wow.
you can give to.
Wow.
So,
What's
what
that?
would you call a child if you had one, Mick? Just assuming it was a binary gender, man
call
or a
it-
woman.
I'd call it Kevin and make sure that there's someone in football who's still called Kevin
Right.
under 70.
Him and Murray, Bartlett and Murray.
Yeah.
What are you talking?
When's the last bloke to be called Kevin? Play
Kevin Higgins,
Kevin Higgins.
Kevin Murray. And Don, if you had a child, what would you call it
Doug.
besides Hey
What would you
You?
call it?
Doug?
You've already got one called Doug.
Yeah, well, what do you want?
You want another one?
yeah,
Louise.
Doug 1 and Doug 2.
Yeah, me
Louise.
and my two sons. This is Doug and this is mother son Doug. You imbecile. You fucking idiot, Don. And that's mother. I got 3 kids. Doug over there, and that's Doug. And have you met my younger son here, Doug? Don, please. Fucking, what are you talking about?
Well, what?
Come on, we've got to get to
All
the
right.
guest.
Well, anyhow, I had a whole lot of other things.
Okay.
But and just finally, you'll be interested in this, Kev. Now that he's here, I was never told that you were the guest. Seriously, I've been doing this. No, that's not right. Hertz.
It's what? Rent a
Hertz
car?
have gone out of business because, people can't travel and rent their cars. Have a guess what they owed? $30 billion. Hertz throughout the world.
That would hurts.
You probably would go. He only laughs when it's Hertz. You probably would go out of business, wouldn't you?
So they were just servicing their loan, were they? Whilst they were
30 billion.
Well,
How
they were
many
just
cars
servicing
would you have
their
to
loan when
rent
they were
to
in
get your
business.
money back?
That's in America.
That's
internationally.
worldwide.
Yeah.
And they own Thrifty and Dollar.
Oh, do they really?
Thrifty
Okay.
and Dollar rentals.
So are they still operating or out of business?
Oh, what do you reckon, Dollar?
I don't know. I'm
When you
asking
own
a
30
question,
billion
idiot.
dollars, you own 30 bill, I reckon you're sliding. I reckon you're probably out of business when you own 30
Come
bill.
on, John.
Righto. Well, that's it. So we're coming back with, I'm told now, a very, very prominent person in all fields of sport and the media.
And life.
Well, all right, life.
Play the music, please.